Good morning, grade 10. We're going to do string handling now. Now, string handling, as you have functions and procedures for string handling. Now, the functions, remember, you call them on the right hand side of an assignment statement. So those in red are all the functions for string handling. And these are two procedures for string handling. Procedures, there's no assignment statement. You just write the procedure name and put the parameters in brackets. So let's go and have a look at our functions. We know the string to int, and the int to string, and string to float, and float to string, and then float to string f, where we have 4 parameters. If you put an f, means you're formatting the number, which will be the real number in brackets. Float means real, comma, and then the second parameter is how you want to format it, either ff fixed or ff currency, and then comma 8, and then comma 2. 8 means how many decimals in total, how many numbers in total you're going to have, how many digits, and then 2 is where you're going to round off. You're going to round off to 2 decimal places. That's what that 2 means there. And then S, uppercase, is a function that takes a string and takes a whole string and converts it all to capital letters. And then uppercase is taking only a character and converting it to a capital character. Okay. So remember the difference between uppercase and uppercase. Very important difference there. Then we have length. We want to get the length of a string. You store it into an integer data type. There it is. Then there's a function called copy, where we want to copy from a string. So we put the string in brackets, and then you have a starting position, which will be an integer, which character number you're starting at. And then the third parameter is how many characters that you're going to copy from that starting character position. So you have to remember those 3 parameters of copy, and you have to memorize it. Then we have a function called pos. We want to find the position of a substring, where does it exist in a main string, and it returns an integer. So pos returns an integer, copy return a string, length returns an integer. So these 3 are new string handling functions for you. And then maybe these 2 as well. I don't know whether we mentioned those in class, uppercase and uppercase. But you must memorize these functions. You're going to use them a lot all the way to grade 12 and beyond. So that's all you have to memorize. And then for the procedures, you only have 2 to memorize. The one called insert, when you want to insert a substring into a main string. And then the third parameter is which is the character position that you want to insert the substring into the main string, where you want to start inserting a substring into a main string. So the substring comes first, and then the main string, and then an integer, which is the position, character position. Now we have delete. Delete is a very common one, and you can see delete and copy. I've highlighted them both. That's because the parameter list is the same. Although delete is a procedure and copy is a function, but the parameter list is the same for each. So for delete, if you want to delete from a string, then you basically put in brackets a string you want to delete with first, and then second parameter is where you're going to start deleting. The third parameter is how many characters that you're going to delete. Now you must study these. This Word document will be in the data files on Teams for this activity. And we're going to use some of these functions now in this program here. Right, so it's going to be integrated with these, with using other functions as well. So for this particular one, it says convert the string 65 to an integer, square it and display it. Then get the square root of the result and display that. So let's convert 65 to an integer first. Okay. So I've got rnum equal to string to int 65. So they said that 65 is a string. Okay, yes, you can have numbers as strings, because there it is. There's 65 declared as, it's being used as a string, and we convert it to an integer. Then they say we must square it and display. So let's go and square it. I'm just going to use the same variable, square rnum. Sorry about capitals. And then we're going to display the square of rnum. Well, when you square a number, it's actually supposed to be a real number that you're storing the square into. So we better make rnum here equal to the square of inum, and then we can display it. And then it's float to string rnum. Okay, then they say get the square root of it. So I'm going to get another variable called r square root. And I'll say r square root equals square root of rnum. So both square and square root are real data types. So then we're just going to show a message of r sqrt. So there's that one done. We have to be reminded that square and square root return real numbers, not integers. The integer starts off as being an integer. Right, display school is fun in all capitals. Or should we go to this one next? Okay, let's go to this one. Convert the number 2.467 to a string and round to one decimal place. 2.467. Okay, so we can convert that number to a string. So I'm going to say S-line. Did they say they want us to convert it to a string? Okay, fine. Where are S-line colon string? I'm going to say S-line equals float to string, and in brackets I've got to have a real number, which is 2.467. And by the way, if your operating system uses commas for decimal points, then you might have to put a comma there. So S-line, I used a full stop because my operating system allows full stops for decimal point characters. So S-line is that. Okay, we converted it to a string. Round it to one decimal place. Well, you can't round a string to one decimal place. You have to basically round the actual number, this number, 2.467. So if I'm going to round to one decimal place, I'll say, oh no, I've got to have a real number. Why? Because one decimal place, it's still a decimal point number. We're going to round it to that. So I'm going to say rnum equals round to, I'm going to say round to, remember, because we're going to have two things now, 2 in brackets, 2.467, comma, minus 1. Remember we did this before with a round to. If you want to get decimal, round to decimal number, then our second parameter is minus 1. If it was 1, then we'll be rounding to this 2. That, no, yeah, maybe, hey, we should actually try that, shouldn't we? Let's go and try it. I'm going to say rnum equals round to, and I'm going to call it 16.45, and let's show message, wait, not 16.45, so I have comma, and if I say comma 1, am I rounding to a whole number? Let's just make this a 6, or am I rounding to this digit over there? So we'll see now. Well, these two lines did what they said, okay? I can actually show that message too, or not. Show message on and display after that, and then display this one. So what I'm expecting when I run this program, I'm going to get, the first show message is going to be 2.5, I'm expecting. The second show message, I'm expecting 17, as I put 1 there. So we'll see if I'm right or wrong. Okay, it was this button there. Did I say 2.5? I hope I did. And the second one was, see, I've got 20, so actually round to 1 actually rounds to the first 10 digit. If I put a naught there, then it would be 17. I don't even need to have no, so round 2 does not round to this whole number. But if I put round, and by the way, I can use a real number there because real numbers are also integers, so that will work. So click on the button. 2.5 is fine. Now it's rounding to 17. So it did round to 17. But if I have comma 1, I have to put in round 2, and it's going to round to that number there. So it'll be 20. The number of the answer will be 20. So it's quite tricky, this round 2. If you're going to round to the nearest unit, then you just don't use round 2. Okay, you use round, and you don't have any other parameter at all. But if you want to round to the tens placeholder there, then you use comma and 1. If you want to round to the first decimal point, then you use comma and minus 1. So that was quite tricky. Right, let's just do this one. This is easy. Display school is fun in all capitals. And all you do is say, I'm going to do it in one line. Show message uppercase. School is fun. There. See what I did there? I put the string in there and uppercase that string, and then I show the message. And that should put it all in capital letters. Right, that's going to be all for today. Now you're going to do an activity, and that's going to be for marks also. All right.